At the end of episode 9, Korra had escaped, but the Equalists are still on the move, taking out the council.
We're here to fix a spider rat problem.
Oh, the fact they exist would qualify as a problem. Tenzin's the only one to defeat his attackers, meaning that as the sole council member left, he is now in control of the city. A city that is now being bombed by Aman and Sato's airships. And while Tenzin's able to get a wire off to the general in charge of the United Forces, basically everything's been sabotaged. Gee, I can't imagine how Aman would get that many people to help him, unless the majority of the city was treated like criminals by Nanook of the North. Outside, more mecha tanks await, making quick work of him, but luckily Team Avatar is on the way, having their love triangle come to a head in the midst of the chaos, so they're all upset with each other. So a collection of robots is a good way for them to take out their frustrations on something. But Aman isn't just messing up the city. He sends an airship to Air Temple Island, but there's the White Lotus and Lin waiting. What's not waiting is the baby, another airbender ready to be born at rather an inconvenient time, I'm afraid. The rest of the airbenders pitch in with varying degrees of insufferableness, and the baby's delivered safely, but this is only the beginning of all this. They're going to have to evacuate Air Temple Island. The White Lotus and Team Avatar work to hold off the Equalists, but in the end, all they can do is run for it, and with airships chasing them, Lin decides to sacrifice herself to buy the Tenzin family time to escape. She refuses to betray Korra to Aman, so she loses her bending. The only hope we have that things will work out now is fan service.
And that I look forward to winning back Republic City, together.
As you wish, General Iroh.
This brings us to episode 11. The Equalists are now in control, reversing the situation so that bending is now illegal, and putting Aman's mask on Aang's face because he's just that kind of a guy. I got to work on the mecha tanks that ensured our victory. What'd you do? I got to work on the giant mask. Wow, that was you, huh? Well, we all owe you big for that huge contribution to... Shut up! Just shut up! Team Avatar's not doing much better, living with the homeless in the tunnels. The tunnels the Equalists aren't using, obviously, or else it'd get crowded and confusing. Especially because they have benders and non-benders here, too. Not sure this was Aang's dream of unity, but it seems to at least be working on people who dumpster dive. This is making life crap for Asami, by the way. She's eating rotten food, living in a cave, she turned her back on her father and her life, and now her boyfriend is making the moves on someone else. Things sure are crap for the only non-bender on the team. And that number, non-benders, seems to be growing as Aman has a long line of benders he's stripping of their abilities, and making the United Forces look like Yetzes when they finally arrive, only to head straight into a minefield. It's a trap! And as if that wasn't bad enough, Sato sends in his next evil plot. Da 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 da, kill the wabbit. Yes, Sato's fleet of biplanes, and after this they're going to go knock that giant ape off of the Cabbage Corp headquarters building. Korra does her best to help, but it looks like Aman and Sato have planned for everything. It's just a losing battle. I should mention that Legend of Korra really has some amazing fights, and this one is no different, even if our heroes are getting their butts kicked. Korra rescues Iroh and brings him back to Hobo Town to heal him up. Now, this should be a good sterile place for some medicine. And Iroh says they're going to need to get word to his reinforcements, which are currently being led by Tenzin's brother, Commander Bumi. Fortunately, the homeless guys have a telegraph and a broadcast tower. Why wouldn't they? They'll need to take out the biplanes to make sure that the fleet doesn't suffer the same fate, but Korra isn't going along. She plans to take the fight to Aman, and Mako will go with her because he's switching to the Korra shipper camp. By the way, isn't that a little creepy that Mako started moving from Asami to Korra right after Asami lost all her money? Probably just a coincidence, considering the way Mako was. So he's going to go with Korra, and Asami and Bolin will go with Iroh, no doubt for one of them to hook up with him, and frankly either one would be an improvement at this point. Korra and Mako sneak onto the island and inside the air temple in the hopes of ambushing Aman, but they discover Tarlak behind bars, setting up the big reveal and the dun-dun-dun in 3, 2, 1...
I'm Aman's brother.
Dun-dun-dun! Aman is a waterbender and bloodbender too. See, Yakone escaped prison and underwent plastic surgery, and with his new perkier boobs he was able to escape to the Northern Water Tribe. He fell in love, got married, had 2 sons, and then treated Tarlak like crap because Aman, not his real name, but I'm just going to stick with it for simplicity, was naturally gifted. Eventually he revealed to his sons their true heritage, and also that it was their duty to avenge him, what all parents really want for their kids in the end. While Aman excelled, this stuff really started to screw him up. In order to hurt other living things, he had to be as uncaring as his father was when, by nature, he was a caring person. He finally steps in when his father was getting ready to beat Tarlok for refusing to bloodbend Aman, declaring that true power is what the Avatar had when he took away Yakon's bending. He leaves, offering Tarlok one chance to come with, and when he hesitates, naturally, because he is abandoning his mother and all that, Aman abandons him too. Somehow Aman survived and found a way to use blood bending in place of energy bending. It's a technical difference. I didn't want to give away the secret earlier, but Tarlok believes that Aman is genuine in his beliefs. What the situation Aman has created has done is brought to light a critical concern. As I said, the Council is not intentionally stacked with benders because we know that Sokka was on there, and the air representative of that time was unlikely to be a bender, but given that all three of the Council members went along with Tarlok's curfew, it's likely the current one does not include anyone except benders. And as we discover, that's a sign that this system has a flaw that must be corrected. If you have a council made up only of benders and a police force whose members trained in force are benders, you have the makings for Tarlok's police state. Aang wanted the council to represent the nations because he looked at the chance of domination of one nation over the other. That was his major concern back in the Promise. But it hadn't occurred to him that in Republic City entirely new divisions could emerge. Tearing bending down, making it illegal, or stripping people of it is not the answer. But when the chips were down and an us versus them emerged, the two sides dug in and used it to their advantage. Now, I don't doubt that Aman is genuine in his beliefs that bending hurts the world. He may be deceiving these people, but he is doing so because he believes he is saving it. It wouldn't surprise me if he believed that he was Aang's spiritual successor, not Korra, because he is willing to follow Aang's example and strip the world of this thing that he perceives as a harm. It's no wonder that he has a sympathetic following among fans for that reason, and the rather disturbing things that we've seen benders do too, including Tarlok. He reminds me in a way of Guy Fawkes, especially with that mask of his, as Aman can be seen as a revolutionary figure standing against the establishment, which Fawkes has now become in popular culture. It wouldn't surprise me if his iconic mask became a similar symbol in the world of Avatar, because whatever one feels about his cause or his methods, he likely has permanently left a mark upon the world as the man who will stand up against the establishment. To deal with Aman, they plan to expose him as a liar at the big rally that's going to happen soon, bringing us into the final episode of Air, Endgame. Let's hope it fares better than the Voyager episode with that title. They confront him at the rally, and time for J'accuse! She tells the whole thing to audible gasps, but Aman takes off his mask to reveal his scarred face, and for the trump card, the 4 airbenders are revealed to be there, ready to have their bending purged too. And the team sent to take out the planes wound up getting captured, and
I intercepted your message to Commander Boomy. I know exactly where they're hiding.
Impossible! How could they crack the secret hobo code? Well, they make their escape thanks to giant polar bear dog. Iroh takes out the airplanes, Bolin the runways, and he even rescues Asami from her crazed Teddy Roosevelt father. At the rally, Korra and Mako rescue the airbenders, but Aman captures Korra and takes away her bending. But Mako can overcome him and escape. Well, sort of.
I'm impressed. No one has ever gotten the better of me like that. It is almost a shame to take the bending of someone so talented.
Oh, Jesus. Everybody's in love with Mako. I'm surprised the sports guy hasn't started up with that yet. And I must tell you, sports fans, when I think of that young firebender, I get the butterflies in my stomach. So Korra finally rises up to make sure nobody else steals away her would-be boyfriend and attacks with airbending. A heroic move until you remember, oh yeah, Aman stopped her when she had bending before, the whole blood-bending thing. But she still manages to resist and kicks him into the sea, where everybody's shocked to see him instinctively waterbend to survive drowning. So he escapes with Tarlok, planning for the 2 brothers to start over, only for Tarlok to blow up the boat and kill them in a big explosion, and that wraps up that plot thread. Korra's connection to the other elements is so thoroughly severed that even Katara can't bring them back.
It's going to be all right, Korra.
No, it's not.
So, Asami, you've got your dad's fortune now and Korra's lost her bending. Want to hook up again? Actually, Mako chases after her, but she needs some alone time right now. But being at her lowest point opens her up to the Deus Ex Machina when Aang appears, along with all of her past lives, to restore her bending abilities. Wow. That was a really intense, 12 and a half minutes. I mean, that's almost enough time to make a self-rising pizza. She also now has the ability to energy bend and starts restoring those whose bending was taken away, so everything's pretty much wrapped up with a nice little bow. Korra will be continuing in another season, Spirit, which has naturally caused many to wonder why things were wrapped up so quickly with Endgame, and why the door on Aman was so thoroughly slammed shut. Despite this, overall, I enjoyed Legend of Korra. It was definitely different than the original series, but not in a bad way. I think there's still room to explore, though I'm curious to see if there will be any ramifications for the Uprising or Tarlok's tyranny, and what the new antagonist of this series would be. I'm also interested in seeing how Korra, as a fully realized avatar in terms of bending, now handles the role. Perhaps that's what Spirit is referring to, not just finding her connection to that world, but to the wisdom that goes with that power. Because, like I said, an avatar has the power to be 10 times worse than Aman was for Republic City if she ever put her mind to it. And Korra has become so powerful so fast. Can she learn how to rein in that instinct to hit problems head on? We'll just have to watch and find out.